Hello everybody, this is T295 here, and welcome to Tiny Bunny. This is a game on Steam. It is a horror novel, visual novel. So, let's get into the madness, shall we? I really hope the music isn't too loud, so if it is, I'm sorry. It sounds maybe too loud too. Dang. The wind crawled at my window, clawed at my window all night long. Wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song waved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twisted in the air. Shush. They were shouting and laughing and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our housemate had a mind of its own, the creaking old mind of a building that had been lost, that had seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with its inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to restore themselves. There was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of light and shadows. Just a play. I know it's just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Hey, put your book away. Or put your book put away your book. Jeez. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look how slouched you are. Sorry, Mom. I didn't protest and put the book about the bear aside. Sorry, I do not know how to read, apparently. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyways. Olia had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic, she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes as as if it would make the porridge disappear. Hazy anxiety welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night. The black forest around our house was and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Costume Odyssey. Sorry if I mispronounced that. I love that show. Apparently. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is, or how cold the black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. What did I say? What did I just say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this? Carved on the other side of the table. Krin. That's my mom's name. Guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She was sure a rascal damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for weeks if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No. She's been in a bit of a bad mood lately. I imagine her being my age, sitting underneath the table. I wondered, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thicket, or the thick forest? I imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed where Olia sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, soothing voice. Tagar is a special place, little girl. It watches you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashing dishes and muted excuse I'm sorry. Our parents used to love each other back then. Same here, bud. I remember listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She already bought a casket. She called it her cute funeral box. It waited its time in the closet patiently. It was dark, unstole with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all the pictures were gone. Glass-covered pictures were with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from underneath the table. Olia was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly woodland critter. I turned my gaze upwards to the frosted window. There was a lot of dark pine outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of the frost formed a picture on the glass. Olia, look, it's a fox. Where? It almost looked like those optical illusion thingies they put on the back of student notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle. Not outside, on the window. Look, here's its nose, and here's... Hey, eat up! Yes, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up. There's not much left. And there it is. But it still doesn't look like one. And there it is. There it is. And it still doesn't look like one. And I'm telling you, it does. It does. Stop it. These kids, I swear. No, I can't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frosted patterns similar to scratched out nettle leaves kept creeping up with the glass. My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. I want to have a beard like him when I grow up. My mom would always ask jokingly, "Come on, shave it off. It stings." This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Oya always covered her ears whenever she hears something like, "What's the point in all this?" through the walls. It's all for your sake, Dad would reply, "for the sake of our family." I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded and deadliest word that started with a D. D-I-B-O. I didn't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families. Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window. You and your owl talk again. You said you believed me just yesterday. Has anybody seen my car keys? I remember leaving them on the windowsill. Right. Maybe you did, and maybe you didn't. Maybe not. You're a grown man, a father of 2, and still... Dang it. Karin, please stop. Just let me get ready in peace. Your keys are in the basket near the phone. Well, thank you very much. Anton, stop making a marquard out of yourself and finish eating already. And the owl? There is no owl. But there was one. It had giant glowing eyes. Alia sprang up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating the pair of eyes with her fingers, the size of an apple each. Last year you had Bambi in your closet. Now this owl? And now this owl? But I saw it. Alia shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice? Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little. Alia pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he just found. A minute passed, and this theme song from Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on incredible, worn-out cassette tapes, which Dad already had glued together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. But how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved to the living room, and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Alia had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball underneath her blankets. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR, not VHS. Jeez. Cartoons helped take her mind off of all the troubles we had, with the move in our parents. And then Alia saw the giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Alia refused to sleep alone and didn't believe the owl was just one of her nightmares. afternoon I was unsure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? Just last night I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect in my new school. There are a couple days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisted hallways that led to a classroom full of kids. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and a pair of eyes blinked out inside those holes. It was as if some completely different creatures were looking at me from behind those flat black silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with icy sneers, made me shiver at the head, from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gape gang up on me and beat me down, stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wished for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who are just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider or some sort of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the wall. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olia begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings. They had promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagined Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number." Or, Antine's not around. I imagined my future classmates lying in their beds, just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates would be like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little. Now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in a nine-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbors' drill, muddled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Hold on. My mouth was getting dry. Our current home, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easy going during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners. In the corners on the closet cobwebs underneath the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if they old photos of my deceased family with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaky, rusty drains were moaning. The attic was occupied by noisy drifts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized I was, in fact, hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed in the sound of the wind, of the creaky old house, and my thoughts too. I stood and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out with the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in the moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around, crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circling around, holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly, the music had stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with great leaps. It glided on sneaky, squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was enveloped by the pitch black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like the bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back towards the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room, listening to some unwanted guest move and scrape around, looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guess should be at the front door. I jumped into bed, covering myself with the blanket as if it could protect me. Then shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed to her on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of an old tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of the chains of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling out her eyeballs with their tiny legs. Pulling up her eyelids with her tiny legs, not eyeballs. Then her wrinkled eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets, and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure, and now lying under the blanket and listening to the squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words. On the island of Bayan, and underneath the Bashan sun, in the sea of colored blue, stands a cabin made of wood. They lie lard and ashen hair for the spawn from the devil's lair to the forest, and always leave alone God's faithful servant named Aton. Evil leave this house must. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from underneath the blanket, and saw curtains weaving around like a hangman. And then the night dosed me with a new potion of boiling terror. The sound scratched my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, hurriedly crawling at the wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remembered him staring at the forest intensely, as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, and drilling the door with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of darkness. And then the doorknob twitched slightly. It turned halfway once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted it once more, and then started clicking violently. My jaw clenched from fear. My wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door creaked and opened. The wind haunted me, moaning outside the tin drains. Now you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness withered inside the carnivorous mouth of the doorway. Tony? It was as if the night itself was calling me out, flapping its black wings, and speaking with rusted hinges. I was trembling and ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for one who weaved it to come out of the grasping black hole. Tony. My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, already ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, "Tony, are you asleep?" My sister's pale face produced from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. "Olia, I'm not asleep. Did something happen?" Olia frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me." "Shoo her away, Tony, please. I'm so scared." The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olia down. "It's just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you." Olia sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me, but I was sure myself. I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch a video. Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? That question took me by surprise. Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts become tangled and fuzzy. What was that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing frivolously under the moon? The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by my grandma's old chants. Yeah. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair. "Tony, you coming?" Yes, just a moment." Down, boy. Down, boy. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olia and her owl in the morning. Who could that be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guests could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide in the closet, under the table, behind the curtains where Ollie always hid. "Tony, come here." I felt a little kettlebell bells were to my feet, but still dragged them towards the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelt like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled like... My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars. Worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello? The senior officer, who wore a grim expression, nodded. A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name... Volva? Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held out a photograph to me. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet, okay, as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile. No, I haven't.
Are you sure? Look closely.
Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house.
Well, maybe you've seen him from the window.
That's right. Your windows look straight at the forest, don't they? The window. No, I haven't seen anything.
I see.
He sounded tired, but his stare, long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt, which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cracks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed before for some reason.
How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it?
Bit by bit. It's just our little daughter misses the city a lot.
Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well?
Yes, everything is all right, thank you. The policeman pierced through me one more time with his gray eyes. My head started spinning. Can I help you somehow? I asked in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner.
Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age, wears the same type of goggles, always engrossed in reading those mystery novels. Told me he wants to enroll in the police school when his family visits this summer. Wanted to help other people just like me, see?
I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me.
You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home, steer away from trouble. The times have changed so much.
My mom interjected with a cold voice. You don't say.
Well, yeah, Well then. What grade are you in, Tommy boy? Tony boy? Not Tommy boy. 6th. Have you made any friends here so far?
Not yet. I'll be going to school the first time after break.
Then I'll leave you my number just in case. Call me if you have any new info.
The policemen were gone, along with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne, and the photo of the smiling boy. His face still stood before my eyes. I wondered what it was like for him being all alone there. For some reason, I thought the forest swayed in the wind. What does his poor parents feel? Oh my gosh, hold on. And what would my parents do if I had gone missing? If I do go missing, would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and forget about me eventually? Mom, this vulva, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it, poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police of UAV drove off towards the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splitting off old paint from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I've read this summer. Your average boys and girls investigations, all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solved any complicated cases. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of police footprints that led to the forest, and then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy, and maybe I'll get a reward. Olya will be so happy. And not only Olya, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save them from the D word. I fantasized about buying Olya a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. Dad had lost his job at the time. There was that annoying song about it. I had to sorry. I did not know that did that. I had little to no idea what the accountant's job like. They counted money, I think. Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had enough money to afford sweets. And Dad will always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olya. Sometimes I gave her my share too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out, looking for clues. I'm going outside! Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photograph next? The forest is thick. The forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched up by wild animals or something even worse? Even worse, I go through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said, or should I repeat myself? Better go pack your school bag or play with Alia. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant the argument was over and Mom had the last word. The dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how would she know their smell? She hates when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on the freshly sharpened axe. And Ollie couldn't even be lured close to it. She thinks Bambi is living there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door and turned on the dim lamp so she would see there's nothing but cobwebs, Dad's tools, and scrapped walls. She still didn't believe me, and I like to hide in the closet and listen to Ollie count outside. 1, 2, 3. Better hide from me. And then drag her feet on the creaking floorboards, hoping she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster den. Grandma kept ice cream for me and Ollie there, but now I could only see meat bits for soup and clumped together panini. Nelly. I grew to hate them already. So we literally have to go to the front yard. Mom's peg top, a family relic. Mom played with it when she was little. She gifted it to me. Alia was next in the succession line. The toy belonged to her now. She stared at the dancing spindle as if it could show her something. A fairy tale, or maybe even our future. Now even my little sister was a bit too old for the old squeaky peg top. This cross had seen by so many people come and go in this house. It was black as if it absorbed all human sin from long years. It was hiding under the ceiling. After my grandma died, my mom was going to take it off and hang a horseshoe in its place as a luck charm. But across a sharp corner and almost fell from the stepladder. Dad called a sign from above and ordered the cross to be left alone in its rightful place. My parents prohibited me from making long-distance calls, but from time to time I really wanted to hear my old friends. Sometimes I would just pick up the phone and listen to the low hum of the Zoomer, and the distant crackling, imagining the wind howling in the ice lean cords. Okay, there's nowhere else to go, so sure. Anton, I'll whip you if you make a single step out that door. Anton, get your ass out of the closet immediately. Mom? It was different to lie to Mom, but there was no other way for me to run away from home. Mom, something's wrong with the TV. The picture is dim and there are stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. You're killing me here. So, have you had enough of shooting those stupid ducks now? Told you the keen scope will go dim because of your console. Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Maybe it's just the settings? Please, go see for yourself. Please, go see for yourself. Strange. It worked fine this morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it? Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Alia's room.
Okay, I guess I'll roll the front yard now.
Crap, we didn't grab the axe. Oopsies. I opened the front gate and went into the field carefully so my mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half of the distance towards the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears, saw those silhouettes around here. They jumped around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, and the aftertaste was still there. Distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and a badly audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything went silent. So silent I felt the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Alia. The time reached its limit. A one-way trip at the end of the forest pine shock. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Alia turned to stone listening to them. But then always came the ringing silence. Our apartment became that should be our apartment became yeah, that should be ours. Whoopsies. Our apartment became numb a couple days before we departed. Not our apartment came. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together. Almost like all of it was in a previous life. When they kissed with Alia present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if a fire broke up in our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people who died, from the people with dead, cold eyes who sometimes visited us in our previous home. Those eyes that only saw bells of worms and on the black ground in everything. And somewhere far away, a siren was going off, trying to warn us of its coming menace. I shuddered, casting away my delusions, looking around. There was only me and the white field and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Nobbling trees, roots scattered underneath the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and confused needles froze into the ice. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences? Ants? Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in the snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? The senior officer looked gloomy. Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. He was also always anxious, with a with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Volva. I heard a distant shout. Hold on. I don't think that would work. I heard a distant shout looked like it came from the river. Volva! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Volva. Volva! Resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there, behind the tree, hiding. Volva! I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still. Something unsettling about that figure. The stillness. Its stillness. How it was bent unnaturally towards the ground. Its blackness. There was no one there, just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird fluttered its wings loudly. A shadow sprinted from the trees and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence regret from a painful long time. My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket, and I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. I decided to take the lonely mitten from the branch. Volva! A shout rumbled across the field and dissolved into the distance. No echo, no hope for a reply. I stepped towards the bresky trees and tried to claim my find. It wouldn't budge. I pulled harder. The branch cracked and the mitten tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound. All too heavy, wet. I squeezed it without thinking, and something dark spilled from it, forming a tiny string between the mitten and the snow. The steam rose from the snow pile. I froze in place, stunning my palms in disgust. Red. The sound of crackling branches invaded the silence. I didn't think twice before running away. Somebody was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with great leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get out. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably one of reason it gave me strength, spur on me. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. As it was so loud, my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot, a whistle. The roar were coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush, from the twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry, run, do not look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare, a snowy clearing becoming viciously like sand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mucky trap just to be caught in a new one, even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow even this thick? It's not even this. I don't know. I screamed in horror after realizing it wasn't snow. Someone or something was in the snow pile and it was clutching at my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my legs was gone. My boots slipped out from the hole and my soles were on the hard surface again. I reached the clear path. With one jump from there, I ran to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. That house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hiding under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its claws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed those marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in our front yard and my mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob and it obligingly gave way. Oh my goodness. Oh. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. The porch panels creaked as my pursuer ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of its pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breaths reached into the house and crashed at me in waves. It smelled of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out from the kitchen and cast me with some frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly don't you understand when I told you to never slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone. The breath was too. If there was someone in the first place. Of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear slowly weakened, melted like snow in spring, with it the last bit of strength I had left in my body too. My legs gave way. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. My mom's expression changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and disdain was gone. My mom looked the same as before all the quarrels. She finally saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. And am I nothing to you? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like when I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put her usual face on. Her eyes shone like steel. Her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me. I thought. I shuddered as soon as I started my explanation. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned towards me and sniffed my clothes like a beast, searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked in the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant and she covered her mouth with her hand. Look, over there, at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I became prey once again, and my pursuers were following me in the field. I could swear that I've heard something scratch at the door, just like in my nightmares. Mom beckoned me with her finger, and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window, facing my fears. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in the snow through the icy winter patterns on the glass. Dogs. Just a small pack of strays with no name and owner, barely remaining of hungry monsters that lived on the edge of the forest. Oh boy, you were scared of them? I think they would rather be scared of you, Anton. They were chasing me like a bunny. And what if they were rabid? The smile slowly disappeared from my mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was her first time seeing them. What if they attacked Alia? Mom, I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Ooh, what the hell, woman? Mom, look, they're alive. Huh, what? Are they your friend or foe, after all? Make up your mind. You're not a little kid anymore. Mom sighed in annoyance, and I felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze onto the cobweb ribbon corner. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life amongst monsters, but rather my pants amongst the pack of stupid strays. And for what? What use do I have for this? Mitten. Of course. The dark and sticky mitten that belonged to the lost boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching the whole thing, the whole time. It was my trump card as a detective. I hurried to present this clue to my mom. Mom, look, this is Volva's mitten. That boy the police were asking about this morning? It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging in a tree. I can show where. Let's call the police right away, like the officer told us to. Look, Mom, look. Ew. A shadow of doubt slowly crept onto my mom's face, as if she was trying to remember something distant, like someone trying to remember their dream, but the image slipped away. Stop it this moment. Olia will go insane if she hears you. She already has trouble sleeping and whines all the time. And you're joking around like this? At the moment, I realized the mitten was actually wet from snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Come here, my boy, who cries Wolf. Oh, don't just stand there. Take your pills. Golden-colored pill, resentment of a dead wasp fell into my palm. I already took one during breakfast. Don't talk over me. I told you to stay home, and Dad would have gotten you a good whipping for that. Come on, take it, or you won't be able to sleep tonight, and you have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medicine, drinking it down with a awful water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Volva's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten at all. Just like the forest monsters and Alia's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect, or my overexerted brain didn't let fear inside anymore. Sincerity washed over me, bringing yawning indifference along with it. Anton, you done? See, you can do it when you try. Take off your coat. Are you sleepy? Are you asleep? What? Take off your coat. Are you asleep? No, Mom, I was just thinking. About what, I wonder? It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son, but a doppelganger that came from the forest. "Is everything all right? You had the exact same expression when the policeman asked you about the window." "I am all right, Mom." She heaved a deep sigh. "Fine." It seemed like the house had changed. The sofa fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. The melody of Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Alia was done rewatching her favorite Little Mermaid episodes and switched to another tape. I slowly changed into my home clothes, stopped before the sink, and studied my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot the difference puzzles. When I went upstairs, Jafar and Iago, the voices died down. I walked past Alia's bedroom and slipped into my own. Oh my god. Oh my god. You know, talking or reading out loud for a very, very long time without any breaks gets your freaking mouth and throat dry, and it's horrible. I'm sorry. Ollie is standing right here. That's cute. One of the drawers was empty. I hid the mitten in there. This simple action drained the last bit of strength in me. I sat on the bed, and only then I noticed there was someone behind the curtain. I tried my tired hands dropped to the sheets. Rather it was due to the medication I took or the stress I underwent. The room began to contort as if the wind was blowing the walls out of like a pair of sails. The room's curtains bent and the only stable thing in the whole room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. The flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor, just like a servant of sorts. Olia? Who else would be standing there? I stood up, licking my dried up lips. Yeah, Olia. It's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached towards the curtains. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the field across with the curtains, with the chorus of voices. Jeez. For a second, I wanted to return to bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtains, knowing fully well they were looking back at me. They're looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled against the holder when I pulled open the curtains. Gotcha! When I knew it was you from the beginning. The blinding bright halo lit above Alia's head, it with the setting sun as the background. My sister was shining. When she was a baby, Dad always used to say she was shining with happiness. I always restored, but Dad, she's not some flashlight. But I brought her to the window one day, and sunlight poured on her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a child woven from light. I saw everything. Oh, really? What did you hide? She was just like my mom when she was little, before she put on her sad mask of tiredness and switched to her commanding tone of voice. It's nothing, just... Ollie ran to the table, her eyes round, and asked, "You stole something and hid it there. Are you a thief?" "What? Don't be stupid. I didn't steal anything." A clear image came to mind, that mitten hanging from the branch. What if I did steal it after all? From the forest, from the tile figure standing behind the black trees. Alia could be selfish and stubborn when she wanted. "Then show me." "Swear that you won't tell anyone, then I'll show you." Alia wore a prominent smile. "I swear on Mom's heart." The oath she heard in one of the movies about the years we've watched. "Don't say things like that." Alia nodded and made a gesture with her hands, locking her mouth with an imaginary key. She was filled with curiosity that was splashing in her giant eyes. I opened the drawer and Alia leaned in, holding her breath. It looked like there was not just a simple mitten, but some sort of exotic critter. "Is this someone's mitten?" She said that as if she could imagine what she saw. A certain boy lost it, and he got lost himself. Now you understand how dangerous it is for kids to wander into the forest, right? He must be really cold out there. Will they find him? They will. The police are going house to house, showing his photo to everyone. Alia traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window. "And why are they going house to house and not in the forest? Are they scared?" The question caught me off guard. Police aren't scared of anything. Yeah, right. Flashed in my clouded mind. Did they really check every nook and cranny when darkness cold and whispers of icy branches dwelled. Where's the word? If that's the case, how did they miss the mitten? Or did it appear later for me? I changed the topic, as if trying to get Alia as far away as possible from the forest thicket. We may get a reward if I go and find this boy myself. A lot of stuff, like in Field of Wonders. Sounds cool, right? Alia wasn't listening to me. She was piercing the forest with incredible dull eyes, uncharacteristic for her. What if the owl got him? Nonsense. An owl wouldn't be able to lift a human. Yes, it would. Maybe, I don't know. But, you know what? I was picking my words with utmost care. I forced them out of my overexerted brain. Stay away from the forest. I think it's how should I put it? It's cursed or something. Just like in a fairy tale? No, not like that. More like in a spooky type. Mom and Dad are hiding from us. Alia shivered and stole a glance at the window. I saw you running away. Someone was chasing you. No, it's just I was hurrying back home so Mom wouldn't be worried. As I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile. It was so easy to start in her light. With a gust of wind, and her small fire would be gone. You're lucky. Mom wouldn't even let me go outside. I'm like a princess in the tower and can't go anywhere. I die from boredom here. I'll die from boredom here. You're wrong. No one has ever died from boredom. And you have me and your cartoons, and Mom and Dad will be good to each other soon. You know what? I wish for my next birthday. I wish for Mom and Dad to turn into children so we can go play together like we used to. Yeah, and if you make them as small as bugs, we can place them into a little box. Not Talia. Alia giggled and tugged at my sleeve. Tony, let's go watch Aladdin. Figure won over my desire to be with my little sister. Fatigue went over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous apathy. I'm too tired. I don't want to. Come on. It's so boring alone, and Mom always is busy. We can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before. Well, I know all of our tapes by heart at this point. Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan. Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it? And so much happened after that. Let's go. Maybe a bit later. Should I tell you how it ends? Let's leave that for tomorrow. I won't tell you tomorrow. I know. Let's play hide and seek. No, Alia. Then draw me a dino. Alia, please. Draw it. Will you leave me alone already? Will you leave me alone already? I blurted out without thinking, and then I was immediately taken aback. I never screamed at my little sister like that. Alia stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling in a procedure to her tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Alia from crying. Alright, you win. Let's go watch cartoons for a bit. I don't want it. I came up to her and put my hands on her soft head. Let's go. Let's go watch Peter Pan. Boo, you'll fall asleep again. I smiled and lifted her chin. Her eyes were wet and felt bottomless. I won't. I promise I won't. And I'll draw you a full Triceratops later. Hooray! Triceratops. Well, close enough. Alia rubbed her eyes with the sleeve of her pajamas, and a shining smile returned to her face. I'll go ask Mom to pour a colander of milk and bread, and you rewind the tape. Fresh. The bread is fresh, just how you like it. Alright, just be careful not to spill the milk, or you'll get yelled at again. I bet I won't. Wanna bet I won't spill it? The tape is somewhere in the nightstand. Look for it. Ollie disappeared in the doorway, and I dragged my feet into the neighboring room. Okay. Okay, that was weird. Olia's countless toys. An old teddy bear is the main attraction here. Olia doesn't sleep without it. She digs her nose into the fur when she sleeps. Scary window where Alia sees that accursed owl every night, lurking in the darkness. Alia keeps the curtains closed during the day, but as soon as the twilight comes out, she keeps the curtains open during the day, and as soon as the twilight comes, she shuts them tight so she won't see the pair of eyes of hungry eyes outside. Jeez. The old Phaeton TV was gathering dust in the corner. All that's left was clicking the button on the front panel. Bing. The tube warmed up and the familiar white noise started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to turn on the VCR when a noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared for a moment. It was It was a dark, tinged forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split the screen in half. Its creepy resemblance human speech was coming out of the speakers. Just for a few moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did it catch some rogue signal? The local TV station only really showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. And only just recently I used to watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should tinker with the antenna. What if I catch the channel again? On the other hand, Alia did ask me to find the tape. It wouldn't be nice to disappoint her. But in my sleepy state, I didn't have the strength to do all of it. Search. I shifted through the shelves full of dolls and Blue Hippo from Kinder Surprise. Found the tape I needed thanks to the crooked spine. I got the black rectangle from its box. Tape was inside, rustling while rewinding began. The rustle was lulling me to sleep. Drowsiness attacked me while I was spacing before the TV. Images whirled in my head, me and Alia flying above the forest, tumbling in the soft clouds. My little sister laughing, but her smile becomes more and more forced with every passing second. I noticed that the clouds underneath us part, bearing the bustling pine tops. Swarming darkness swirled amongst the trees. The wings were no longer able to hold us. And Alia, you haven't started without me, have you? My sister brought the tray with uneven cut bread and a whole can of concealed milk. I rubbed my eyes. Nope, come sit. Mom and Dad are arguing again. They're going through rough times. Rough times are lame. PN. The screen. Wendy was hiding Peter Pan's shadow in the dresser. Alia was entertained by the cartoonish dog Nana. Maybe Mom and Dad will buy us a dog too? Yeah, right. I'll have my own dog in Neverland, and a cat, and a parrot. Alia smeared a slice of bread with a thick layer of milk and handed it to me. Condensed. That's the word. Condensed milk. Have you lost all your baby teeth? Obviously. Alia frowned in deep thought. Peter Pan has baby teeth. What if they won't let you go to his land with adult teeth. We'll think about something. We'll think of something. We'll ask Dad to alter your age in the passport. And why would Dad forge documents? Olya took a bite of the sandwich and started talking with her mouth full. Well, I heard Mom say that he did that before. You'll grow ears as big as Dumbo. You'll grow ears as big as Dumbo's. Olya didn't worry and touched her ear. Olya got worried and touched her ears. I smiled to myself. My little sister was silent now. She just devoured her bread, watching the adventures of Peter Pan and Tinkerbell and James Hook. His name's James? Okay. As if she got sucked into the fairy tale Neverland. To be honest, I also imagine myself there in a land where no one ever ages, where no one argues over little things, where no one listens to fights and the sound of broken plates at night. I felt like I was dreaming with my eyes still open. Then my little sister's scream pulled me back to reality. Tony, shut the curtains fast! Why? No one's watching you. Oh, no one's watching you. It's dark, and when it's dark, the owl comes. I'm scared. I got out of bed, fighting my drowsiness, and closed the curtains. I did my best not to look outside towards the treetops, towards the distant forest, which seemingly grew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a visual effect from shadows and branches scraping the snow. Tony, Mom thinks I made the owl up, and Dad too. Thinks I'm a liar since I'm small. But the owl exists. Honestly, it does. You do believe me, right? That it comes every night, and I swiftly grabbed Olya's hand and looked her in the eyes. I tried to transfer at least some of my courage and determination. But did I really have those quarrels? Yes, I believe you, alright? Just don't nag our parents about it anymore. They're already dealing with a lot, so they'll just get mad at you. Come tell me if anything happens. And don't look out the window. But it wants me to look. It doesn't matter. Act like it doesn't exist and never existed. Like it's made up. Just like Mom and Dad say. It'll get tired of waiting and fly away. It was madness, but after everything that happened recently, I was more and more inclined to believe Al existed. We followed Peter Pan's adventure as if nothing happened. As if the forest didn't kidnap kids. As if our parents weren't tearing each other apart bit by bit. Captain Hook was running away from the crocodile, and Captain Pan was headed to London on a glide sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my little sister. Alia's eyelids had dropped. She started snoring lightly, resting her chin on the side of the bed. I stood and left Alia's room. I was looking out the window, studying the field, when Mom peeked into my room. Enough playing around. Your first day of school. It's your first day of school tomorrow. Go to bed. You should be sleeping properly. You don't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? Adults think everything's so simple, as if sleeping would ensure my classmates would like me. I covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me. Do I want to hear the mystery flute again? Yes or no? Maybe it's just a part of growing up, and I can't fully understand my own desires. The forest wailed behind the barrier that was my walls. Some entity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on and on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into slumber. All right. That's going to be it for this episode of Tiny Bunny. This is the first episode of Tiny Bunny that they have out right now. And just from me reading it and taking tiny breaks in between, that literally took me almost 2 hours. Ouch. But if you liked it, please leave a comment down below. Tell me any games that you want me to play. But if you liked it, remember to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, comment down below anything in general, and this is TJ95 signing off. Bye, guys.